Good morning from Austin. It is Saturday morning. I am up. I am ready to grind. So as you can see, I've turned on my Instacart app. My regular work week is over. And of course, even though the work week is over, I still want to earn some money. So I have a couple of things I need to do today. I have a tour that is being returned to me. So I need to go to the airport to pick up that vehicle. Hopefully we'll get some Instacarting in. And I also need to do some grocery shopping. So I'll try to take you guys along for the ride. So since we have Instacart open, let's talk about it. I have some very strong opinions, and I'm going to give them to you guys unfiltered, unadulterated, and tell you, is Instacart worth it in 2023? I'm not going to even prolong this. I'm going to tell you openly and honestly, if you were to ask me that question, is Instacart worth it in 2023? My response would be absolutely not. And let me tell you why. And I popped a couple of batches on here, or a couple of orders. I'm going to want you guys to see exactly what I see when I log onto the screen, so you can get a peek into my psychology when it comes to accepting or not accepting Instacart orders. Now, I live in Austin, Texas, so your market might be different from mine, but here in Austin, Texas, it is not a good time for Instacart shoppers. Now, that could be the result of some people using bots and other means to circumnavigate the system. I don't personally use any of that. I go directly to the platform, and that is how I receive my orders. And so if you're playing the game fair and square, then you're probably coming up with the short end of the stick. So as you can see, there are a couple of batches here, and each of these batches are not a batch that I would even consider taking. When I consider taking batches, there are a couple of things that are important to me. The first thing is the distance. I typically will not accept a batch that is beyond 10 miles. 10 miles doesn't sound like a lot until you're actually driving it. And $10 doesn't sound, 10 miles doesn't sound a lot until you start factoring in your gas consumption, because it's 10 miles there and 10 miles back. So that's a total of 20 miles. You can try in some instances to Instacart in the area that your last delivery is in, or maybe DoorDash your way back if you use a DoorDash platform to sort of pay your way to get back to your area. But in most instances, I just drop off my final order, drive back to my original order, my hub, so to speak, and then wait for another order to come through. So all of that is consuming gas. Now, the second thing in addition to distance is the amount of items and the amount of units. Items and units are completely different. So items are how many items does the customer want? For instance, let's say they want dish detergent. That's one item. Let's say they want syrup. That's one item. Let's say they want milk. That's another item. So that is how items work. Units are, let's say they want milk again, but this time they want 6 units. So 6 gallons of milk. So the items and units, you have to pay close attention to those, because I've had some nightmares where I've accepted orders and you get to the store and you see that they have 22 units of milk. I'm not kidding. 22 gallons of milk they want from you. And you have to hope that this store has 22 gallons of milk, because if they don't, guess what? That $50 that you were anticipating has now diminished to $40, because now you're having to, in many instances, choose between replacing the customer's order and getting a negative rating because the customer is dissatisfied with the choices that you've made, or returning the customer's money to them, refunding it to them because their item is not available, which in turn has a detrimental effect on your earnings, because every item you refund is money that is being returned back, or money that it is reducing the value of that batch. I hope that makes sense. So I am very, very particular about what orders I accept. Now, for me, I only shop big box. I shouldn't say only, but I primarily shop big box stores and liquor stores. Nothing but. On occasion, I will do a grocery store order, but grocery store orders, in my opinion, are the most work and they pay the least. They're the most work and they pay the least. And that's where you're going to often, in many instances, find that the customers are, you have one good customer and several, we're going to call them bum customers, because please, people, tip your Instacart drivers. It is a lot of work to drive to a store, go into a store, look for items, sometimes the most obscure items, things you have never heard of, stand in a line, check out, have people upset at you because you're not checking out for one person, you're checking out for 3, and everyone behind you is giving you the side eye because they think that you're just some inconsiderate human being who does not respect their time because you decided to come to the store with 3 transactions. So you have to check out, and then you have to load all of these items. You know, in some cases, let's say 12 cases of water or 24 gallons of milk. You have to load all of this into your vehicle and then deliver it, let's say, to an apartment complex to the 3rd floor of a building with no elevator. So Instacart is a lot of work for little pay. And one of the reasons I also stay away from grocery stores is because grocery stores typically take a lot of time. They're usually really congested. So you're trying to wait for people to move out of your way. You got people with children who are not watching where their children are going. You have people who are completely oblivious that there are other people in the grocery store, so they're just lingering, having conversations in the middle of a grocery aisle as if the grocery store is not congested. It is a lot of work and a lot of stress for very little pay, in my opinion. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to go back to my corporate job and do Instacart part-time. So I haven't completely given up on Instacart, but there definitely needs to be a change in the platform. As I mentioned, I started back in 2021. And at the time that I began, it was sort of the tail end of the pandemic. And so the batches were still paying really, really well. But those days have since come and gone. So if you're considering getting on the Instacart platform, I would highly say don't. Don't. And if you do decide, just be very, very calculated about the orders that you do accept. Look for orders that are low distance. Look for orders that pay the most. And look for orders that require the least amount of work. And I know that sounds terrible. I'm not averse to work, but I'm not going into a big box store. I'm not pushing around 2 pallets with 20 cases of water, 20 cases of soda. And I know this probably sounds like hyperbole, but these are the types of orders that you will receive. So I refuse to do that. And if you want to do that, kudos to you. And that's one of the reasons why I think I see a lot more men on the Instacart platform than women, because the work has become so strenuous that most women are not able to do it. So again, if you are considering being on the Instacart platform, I feel that in most instances, you're actually making under minimum wage. If you factor in wear and tear on your vehicle, the cost of gas, and your time to pick up, to check out, to drive to the store, to drive to the customer location, to deliver, you are making very often, in many instances, under minimum wage. And you're making minimum wage without any benefits at all. So for me, again, if you ask me in 2023, is Instacart worth it? My answer is a resounding no.